Why, hello there, everyone. Let's see if I can do this in 10 minutes. So, when I started my day, I realized that I start the day where I'm overly stimulated. Like, I go on YouTube, I try to find something to watch, and my brain just feels like there's too much information. So, I decided to start this day out differently by getting out my journal right here and writing down how I was feeling. I guess I could read that. Alright, so I've come to a realization that I am currently overstimulated. My life soon after waking up boils down to grab phone, watch videos, talk to Google Gemini, look at stocks, ask Google why stocks are the way they are, uh, read news about animation on Cartoon Brew, listen to multiple different podcasts and audiobooks, and do a lot of that at 2x speed or sometimes even 3x speed to get more information in less time. By the middle of the day, my mind feels so overloaded with information that doing anything after consuming so much content feels incredibly difficult and overbearing, like driving anywhere farther than 5 minutes away. It's a very unsettling feeling, like unstoppable absorption hits an unmovable person, thus creating this sense of discontent and tiredness all at once. I don't like it because it feels like I'm trapping myself in an endless cycle of working myself up over things that are out of my control, thus creating a sense of having no control. I don't like that. I choose to write my master plan journal this afternoon after waking up and browsing my phone on Cartoon Brew over a Minions movie to build a better awareness of my over-reliance on stimulation. And reading through previous entries has me realizing that I'm putting the world ahead of my own agenda. So that's what I wrote. And honestly, yeah, that's pretty much how I'm feeling. After writing that down, I decided it would be a good idea to then do some meditation. But before I did, my sister made a shake that had like coffee and banana and chocolate in it. It was pretty good. Our family friend gave me some mushroom chocolate snacks with little like cracker in the middle and the chocolate on the top. Those were pretty good as well. Yeah, after eating that, I remember I went for a deep meditation in it, listening to a Gateway program tape. Well, not actual tape, like a phone digital recording through YouTube. And here's my documentation of that. So after my 30-minute meditation, listening to free HemiSync guided meditation on the YouTube channel Monroe Institute, I wanted to go over how the experience went step by step and how it affected me. So when I started, I knew I needed to wear headphones to get the full effect of the HemiSync. First, I put on my Sony WF-1006MX earbuds, but as I was laying down and attempting to get comfortable, one of my earbuds ran out of battery. So I had to get up, put them on the charging cable, grab my over-the-ear WH-1000XM3 headphones, and get back into position. As the instructor in the video was instructing to get comfortable at the start of the session, I found myself having a difficult time getting my lower back to calm down. It was giving me quite a difficult time getting situated. I even tried the pillows under the knees while lying down trick, which did not seem to work. So I tried pressing on that specific part of my lower back on the left side of my spine, but to relieve some stress, but to no avail. I even tried twisting my lower back, but that didn't work either. My mind was so focused on my lower back that I could not focus on getting deep into the meditation. I remember getting close to a tall person appearing for a brief moment near the end of my meditation, though, but that was about it. Pretty interesting. Yeah. So there's your next HemiSync update, I suppose. Yeah, after that, I thought to myself, it'd be a good thing to do, make pizza. So I got the pizza dough I bought yesterday, and it was soft now, but in order for it to be properly stretchable, it needed to be in room temperature for at least half an hour. So I put it out in room temperature, and during that half hour, I started making, preheating the oven, and then pre-making the tomato sauce with many different ingredients, including extra virgin olive oil, dried basil, salt, pepper, a little bit of sugar, and some garlic. Mixed it, simmered it for like 10 minutes, and then left it alone. Turned off the heat. And pressed up against the oven to get to a good temperature. So, once everything was set up, I spread the sauce on the pizza. My sister said that the mushrooms were perfect, so I put those on there. I put some mozzarella cheese I bought yesterday. I put the pepperoni I bought yesterday. And I put that bad boy into the oven for like 15 minutes. It was 5 degrees away from the degrees it was supposed to be at, but that was close enough. Once it was done heating up, it was time to chow down. My mom had arrived. I coordinated with her and my sister. I tried to get a family friend in on it, but they said they didn't have any money to go watch Toy Story 5. So we all agreed on a time. We're going to see the film in 3D at around 7:30. And after the meal was done, my sister even made some brioche bread French toast with berry sauce and whipped cream. We had that with the pizza. It was a pretty good meal. Our family friend even made roast, but I barely had any of the roast. My sister and my mom then went off to the theater while our family friends stayed behind. When we eventually arrived, it was a pretty packed theater. I had no idea that Toy Story 5 was going to be this big, but we sat pretty close to the front. We were like looking up at the screen like this, and we were in for this film, and overall. I have to say, the original Toy Story trilogy is a perfect trilogy. It's pretty much up there with Lord of the Rings, right? Or what's another good trilogy that I can think of? I guess the Dark Knight trilogy. The problem is that, when Pixar's strapped for cash and their original films just ain't cutting it anymore, they gotta break open the sequel emergency bell, and so that's what they did here, and it looks like it is on track to being one of the highest grossing films of 2026. So I guess anytime Pixar's in peril, they just make another Toy Story or another film that's from one of their big franchises, and they'll be fine, I guess. Which, that's a shame, but what are you gonna do? What was interesting about this movie was that it was directed and co-written by Andrew Stanton, who was one of the original Pixar Brain Trust team, and he also worked on Finding Nemo, WALL-E, and Finding Dory. Love Finding Nemo, one of my most favorite films of all time. WALL-E is a solid film. Really enjoyed WALL-E. Very atmospheric, very cool. Finding Dory I was a little iffy on because that one was like all about like Dory's short-term memory being played straight, and I thought, oh, that's kind of sad. And now we're at Toy Story 5, which, very interesting direction they took with this franchise. I guess they wanted to address the fact that like the age of toys is over, and anyone who's like young would rather play on their tablet now, right? And now like the toys like time is being threatened by tech, And so it's like a film that's very much like pitting toys against tech. But the way the film approaches this subject is in a more um, measured and deliberate way, which I do appreciate. I like it when a film is exploring a topic but not doing it in a ham fisted and like, you know, one side or the other way. I like it that this film explores the positives and the negatives of both sides of the aisle for both the traditional toys and the tech toys, and I think that's really cool. Um, and I think it's neat that they decided to center the story on uh, J- Jesse or Jessica because the previous three films, those were all Woody and Buzz's story, right? Um, so I didn't watch the fourth one because I was like, I didn't want to support that. The reason I watched the fifth one really was just down to the director and the subject matter being covered. I thought that would have made for a really compelling and interesting story, right? So that's why I watched this one. There was like an interesting subplot with a group of high tech Buzz Lightyears that all are like fitted with modern technology that are like a shipping boat like loses a bunch of them and like they are all on this island, and the way they act is like very like interesting, where they like see star and we are Star Command and let's follow the star, and they like build a boat and they're like going towards the star, and through a series of events they eventually like apparently believe that Jesse or Jessica is their star commander because she's got the star on her chest, because she's sheriff. I thought that was an interesting choice. Of course, they make it so Woody is in love with Jessica, so they have Woody having trouble like confessing his love, so that's an interesting plot point they put in there. Um, yeah, overall, I think this film is solid. Would I call it like, oh my gosh, this is a fantastic film that is right up there with all the original Toy Story movies? No, I'm not going to say that. This film, it it feels like, well, if you're gonna have to do a sequel, then at least do something interesting with it. And they did something interesting with it. And there were some heartfelt moments. And I thought that was nice that they reincorporated those moments back into the story, like with Tech causing Bonnie to abandon the toys, and the toy and Jessica being mostly affected by this because she remembers what it was like to be abandoned from the second movie. So I think it was cool that they took a character that was established and gave them some stakes, gave them some reason for caring about being affected by this whole tech wave. So that was cool. Um, but overall, I don't know. It was like a packed house, but not many people were like, cheering or saying much during the whole film. I mean, normally when like there's a funny moment that happens in a theater or cinema, I usually hear like, ooh, people are like chuckling or laughing or there's some kind of reaction, but there wasn't really any of that. Like it was a mostly quiet theater. It was, I mean, in a way, I guess that's good because it's like, oh, people are respecting, people wanting to just sit and watch this movie and don't want to be a nuisance. But on the other hand, I remember like when I watched other films in the cinema back when I was younger, there would always be certain reactions or lots of laughter in the theater when a scene or a joke really landed. And so the fact that wasn't there in this did feel kind of odd. But yeah, I mean, if I were to rate this film, I thought some of the characters were kind of pushed to the side. I mean, clearly, like, the story was trying to focus on a new batch of, like, toy characters. Like, there's these ragtag group of, like, old, like, tech toys that are, like, the early stages of, like, tech. And so I thought that was kind of a fun angle to explore. Um, I don't know. This definitely felt like side quests movie story and not like a main entry, but at the same time, what can you really do? Like, the most interesting story for this franchise has already been told. But with this, it's like they did what they could, and I commend them for tackling a subject matter that is very, prevalent and you know, something that is affecting everyone today, and I think that's neat that they did that. But yeah, overall, it's like an actual story and something that I could like see myself watching again. It's all right, but yeah, I think I'll give it a generous 7. Yeah. Well, anyways, after we were done watching that, we arrived back home. I decided to play some Dreams on my PlayStation 5. I was playing this really frustrating game where you had to like have the character jump in a certain way to in this. It's a game on the game Dreams by Media Molecule. If you go on the Dream Surfing, it's basically the YouTube of gaming, and then you click in Temple of Doom. You get this really difficult like game where you have to like press the jump button and hold it at the perfect time, and if you do that, then like the character will stop and won't move in like the only jump in the direction that you choose with your analog stick. So it's a really tough game. I was able to get to like level 3 before quitting. And as I was playing it, I was listening to a podcast where C.H. Greenblatt, who created shows like Chowder, and Harvey Beakson, he worked on the first worked on seasons 2 and 3 of SpongeBob. Really talented and a funny guy. Being interviewed by Maxwell Adams, and it was pretty cool to see the two shoot the breeze and just talk about their time working in the studio system. Apparently the animation world is very dire right now though, like, so that's a shame. They're both unemployed. Very sad. Yeah, apparently they said like, what would you recommend for up and coming artists who are just getting out of art school? And they said run. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, coming from an animation veteran who's been in the animation industry for as long as I've been alive, that's kind of disheartening to hear. But yeah, he said like, if you really want full creative freedom, just make stuff that's like, independent, or like web comics or things like that, because at least you won't have your vision messed with by a bunch of executives. Yeah, anyways, after that, I remember I decided to watch this video where Maxwell Adams was talking about this pilot that he did and how it leaked online. And I decided to watch a little bit of this pilot, and I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I took this, the first few storyboard frames and tried to turn that into a finished looking animation scene using Nano Banana 2 and Omni Flash. So I tried that. Didn't really work out too well. I mean, it worked out a little better than expected, but overall, the final results, I would say, were not fantastic. And then after that, I took my vitamins, I brushed my teeth, and recorded this video. So that's pretty much the day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everyone.